Welcome back, everyone. Thanks for watching. Today we've got an interesting episode that was brought on by a subscriber question. And before I get into that, I want to remind all of you to please subscribe to the channel. Every month I pick a winner from my list of subscribers to win a box of Bridgeford beef jerky. All you got to do is subscribe and you're entered. For as long as you're a subscriber, you've got a shot at winning a box. And it's a good box. I mean, there's a bunch of jerky in it. It's pretty cool. Anyways, so the question that I received was, do I use scents? And if I do use scents on my lures, when do I do it? So the first thing I'm going to say to answer this question is that I am a believer in scents. And I have had some firsthand experiences that tell me they definitely can be a player. And specifically, one of those, I'll give you two scenarios. The first time I ever saw scents come into play was years ago. It was probably 20 years ago. And I was fishing a bedded fish for, I'm going to say, an hour. And the fish was interested, but not real interested. And I never once had it even nip at the bait. He just wouldn't leave the bed. I knew it was a catchable fish. I just needed to figure out the right thing to do for him. And I tried probably 7 or 8 different baits, and I couldn't really change his mood at all. And at that point, I was going through the boat looking for anything that I could find to potentially get this fish to trigger. And I had a jar of scent, and I put some scent on that bait, the same bait I had just been using for 10 or 15 minutes with no interest. In the first cast, that fish swam right up to it, looked at it, and just sucked the whole bait in. And I thought that was so cool that, you know, maybe it wasn't the scent, maybe it was just luck and that fish was ready to bite. But to go through that process and finally get that fish to bite on the first cast with scent made me think I needed to keep more scent in the boat and utilize it more while on the water. So since that time, I have experimented off and on with scent and applied it more so in instances where I was getting bites and not getting the fish to fully eat the bait, or, you know, I was seeing fish but couldn't get the fish to bite. And I have had lots of instances since that first bedding fish where I have had fish that were not committing to my bait start committing to my bait after I put scent on. And I don't necessarily mean like I didn't get any bites, put scent on, and then I got 5 bites after that. I mean, I was sight fishing specific fish, not necessarily on a bed, but just cruising down a bank, and they showed no interest until I put scent on that bait. So to me, I think that is a major player. I'll also add, you know, that right now the biggest craze in the smallmouth fishing world is the Berkley Max Scent flatworm. Really any of the Max Scent baits, in my opinion. And it's more so because of that formula that they have in the bait, the Max Scent. Those baits release more scent than any other baits I'm aware of on the market. And whatever that formula is, the smallmouth bass absolutely love. I mean, there's a reason why you can't get your hands on a lot of the Max Scent baits right now. They catch fish, and, you know, they've been that way for a while. I mean, I've always been a huge fan of Berkley worms, and Berkley worms have always had that power bait smell. And I think that's part of the reason they've been very successful with their soft plastics. So my answer to the question is yes, I do use scents. So the second part of the question was, when do I apply those scents? And I do not use scents all the time and every time out. And maybe I should. I fall back on it when I feel like fishing is tough, or I can't generate the strikes or commitment from the fish that I would like to see. So the primary times that I apply scent are on bedding fish. I feel like it has a definite positive impact on a lot of bedding fish. I use it on swim baits when I'm having fish that won't commit to it. Like if you've got a day where you're throwing a swim bait and you're getting fish just bump, 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 and then commit. If you put scent on, I think you'll find that quite a few times you'll start not getting bump, 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 bump. You'll get them to actually eat the bait on the first or second bump, which to me is important because you know, you want those fish to commit sooner versus later, because every time they come in contact with your bait, the greater the likelihood is that they're going to figure it out and not bite an additional time. So I have had really good success with scents on swim baits for spotted bass, specifically spotted bass. I also really like it anytime I'm fishing a tough fishery. So if I think it's got the potential to give me 1 or 2 extra bites in a day, when, you know, 1 bite an hour is doing something, then I will apply scent. And it's one of those things, like I said, maybe I probably should be doing it more, but I don't. And a good portion of that too, I want to stress, going back to the Berkeley thing, I don't know that I like applying multiple scents to a single bait. So what I mean by that is, if you're throwing a lure that's already got scent in it, if you're applying an additional scent on top, at that point you're masking the first scent and, you know, you're applying the second one. And I don't know that there's a formula that says, you know, you mix these 2 scents together, you're going to create something that the fish don't like. I just personally feel like if you've already got a scent built into a bait that you like, there's no reason to apply an additional scent to it. So if I'm throwing a Berkeley Max scent, I'm not going to apply something additional on top of it because I like the scent that's already there. But, you know, to answer the question, if you're using a bait that has scent in it, you like that scent because that bait has scent. So you are using scent without even thinking about it. So I'm kind of more talking about when I would apply additional scents. So, you know, really it comes down to for me, bedding fish, swim baits, and other soft plastics or jigs that I'm kind of just dragging slowly. You know, if I'm not moving a bait real quick, I will use scent. If I'm using a fast moving bait, I don't know that I've ever had an experience where scent has made a big difference. You know, I've applied it to crankbaits and spinner baits and topwaters. I've experimented a lot with applying scents to feathered treble hooks, and I just don't have anything that specifically says this made a difference. Whereas I feel strongly that I've had, you know, multiple instances where the scent made a difference on a slow moving plastic bait. You know, if you're dragging a Carolina rig or just dragging Texas rigs or flipping a jig, something where the fish have a chance to really kind of get down and look at the bait and get into that scent trail versus, you know, something burning over its head. So, you know, those are kind of the times that I apply scent. I've got a lot of different scents that I use. You know, for a long time, for smallmouth, I really liked this Mega Strike. This was kind of my go-to smallmouth thing. And then I really don't use it much. I keep it in the boat, but now because most of the smallmouth fishing I'm doing if I'm using plastics or drop shots are max scent, I don't really apply it much anymore, but I still carry it in the boat. For spotted bass, I really like the smelly jellies. And I keep a bunch of these in my boat. You can get those in, like, I want to say there's like 15 different flavors of that stuff, but I really like it just for, you know, applying onto the bait. I feel like it stays on good. It's also got, like, some of them, I'm not sure if they all do, but you might be able to see that. This has like a built-in glitter. And I like that because, you know, if it slowly comes off the bait, it's almost like a fish scale peeling off the swim bait. But I find that I've had really good success on spotted bass with the smelly jelly. And then when it comes down to like largemouth or just sprays in general, I really like the Procure, the trophy bass one. This is kind of an all general one. I'll use this on all the baits. And then this is the Berkeley Gulp. I keep this in my cup holder in the front of my boat at all times. And I really like it just from the standpoint of like the ease to use, so I can get a couple of quick sprays on it. And I really am a huge fan of the gulp scents as well. So those are the ones I use. You know, it's unfortunately, scents are one of those things that without being able to communicate with the fish, we're never 100% going to know if it made the difference in terms of getting that bite. But, you know, when you have enough firsthand experiences where you can see the fish respond differently to a bait that has scent on it, I think you'll come to find that, yes, it does have an impact. And, you know, at this point, until somebody proves me wrong, I'm very confident in what I've seen, and I'm sticking to it, and I'll continue to use it. So give them a try, guys. You know, there's a ton of different types of scents out there, and I think that you might find that it helps you catch a few more fish. Give it a whirl. Thanks for that question. If anyone else has any other comments or questions or topics they want me to talk about, please leave the comment and I'll get to it. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, guys.